Baby Audio released a brand new plugin called Crystalline, and it is a next generation algorithmic reverb. Now, maybe you're thinking,
oh great, another reverb plugin. Do we really need another reverb plugin? After all, isn't reverb kind of straightforward?
Reverb is reverb, right? Well, that's what I thought too, until I tried this plugin. This has some really awesome, cool, and unique features that separate it from every other type of reverb plugin out there. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you what makes Crystalline unique so you can decide if you want to get this for yourself or not. Hi, I'm Reagan Ram with Orpheus Audio Academy. Now, if you do decide to pick up Crystalline for yourself, I've got a link in the description below, and just be sure to use my code OAA at checkout so that you can get 10% off. All right, now before I cover all the different features and controls and what makes this plugin awesome, I just want to show you a quick example so you can hear for yourself what this is doing. All right, so let's listen to these pads without Crystalline and then with it in. Pretty cool. I've also got it on this little ARP here, so listen to this ARP. And then another little preview here, I have it on this lead section here as well. All right, so you get the picture. So back to the website, what is going on here with this reverb plugin? What makes it unique? Well, first off, its goal is it wants to be a pristine and modern sound, state of the art. I definitely think it does that. And it gives you unprecedented creative control to shape your reflections. I agree with this as well. It does give you lots of controls and lots of ability to customize your reverb sound, which I'll cover in a second. Also very unique to this plugin is it lets you sync reverb start and decay times to your song's tempo. I've not seen any other plugins that do this. So this really lets you control and make your reverb kind of more organized as it fits and follows the tempo of your song if you so choose. So one user of this plugin is Stephen W. Taylor, who is the mix engineer for Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, Queen, Kate Bush, and others. And I just want to highlight what he says here because this is what really drew me to this plugin as well. He points out that I like the different approach to the concept of reverberation, especially the ducking parameter, as in some of the other unusual approaches. So much like their Comeback Kid delay plugin, which I did in a previous review, it basically has the ability to duck out the wet signal when the dry signal is in to make cleaner sounding reverb or delay in the case of Comeback Kid. So this is probably one of my favorite controls of this plugin, which again, I'll go into more detail in a second. But I think right here is the perfect summary of their plugin. Crystalline follows the tradition of the classic algorithmic reverbs, but adds new features in higher fidelity thanks to modern computing power. It is meant to sound unreal in the most positive sense of the word. Its rooms and halls won't sound anything like those in your house, but closer to those of your dreams. So that's pretty cool. And just one final thing, they have a bunch of really cool presets in here by all these different producers and engineers who produce all these big named artists like Kygo, The Killers, Arcade Fire, some of my favorite artists there. So that is pretty cool. All right, so now let's get into what this plugin can do. So this is what it looks like. I have it here on this little ARP we'll use to demonstrate here. And so right here you can see a big control here is the sync tool, and you can sync when the reverberations start and when they end so it fits to your grid, and this will make a cleaner sounding reverb. If you don't want this, you can just turn it off and turn it to milliseconds. So if I turn it on here though, we'll hear what this sounds like. So it almost turns it into a little bit of a delay, sort of, but it's kind of a reverberated sound. So that's pretty cool. Or we can just do milliseconds. So that's kind of more the reverb that you're familiar with. So then we have this output section, which is very, very unique. You have the ducker, like I talked about, so it will turn down the wet signal when the dry signal is in, so we can listen to this. And if that's too extreme, we can turn on gentle. And then we also have this reverse, so we can actually reverse the reverb right inside this plugin. That is pretty neat. And we can also freeze the reverb here, so it kind of takes a snapshot of the reverb when you click freeze, and it just holds that out. And so that can be really cool for transitions. That is pretty cool. And so that is kind of your output section here. Some very cool, unique controls. If we go over here to reflections, you can set the size. So you can go to spacey, which is the largest, to large, medium, small, and tiny. So you can kind of set the size here. And of course, you still have the more dialed in, more specific controls here for when the reverb is starting and ending. So it definitely covers any range of room sounds. You also have sparkle here. You can decide how much of sparkle you want, and this kind of just emphasizes the higher frequency reflections, which is really cool for editing, you know, an extra sheen to your vocals or maybe a snare or something. So we'll hear what these sound like too, but I want to try these on a different sound here just so we're not getting our ears killed by hearing that over and over again. Let's listen to it on these pads. And then we have width, so it can just make the reverb really wide, stereo, or mono if we choose. So let's just make, so you can see if it's really wide here. So that's really cool. It can make really big, lush reverb sounds. All right, now we have this depth section, which is also very unique. So first you have resolution. So you can do basic. This is the most CPU efficient setting for your plugin. So if you don't want it to be taking up a lot of processing power, you can just do basic and it will be at normal resolution. But if you want extra clean, high fidelity sounding reverb, then you can go to high or even pristine. Then we have modulation here, which you can choose to add in if you want, and it will add in subtle pitch variations into the reverb. So then we have shimmer here, which controls the tail of the reverb, specifically the higher frequencies. They will decay slower than the lower frequencies, so it can create a sort of like halo shimmery effect on your sound. So we can hear what that sounds like now. So those are pretty cool, and again, very unique. You're not going to find these types of controls in just about any other type of reverb plugin out there. Then we have this cleanup section, so you can use some dampening, so you can kind of control the high and low end of the reverb and what you want to get through and what you don't want to have reverberating. Then we have sides here, which is a high pass filter that removes stereo information from the low end of the reverb, so that can basically cut out mud. So if you just want the higher end to cut through, so this is great for leads or any sounds that you really want to be big and wide without muddying up your mix. And then finally you have gate, which is what it sounds like. It's a noise gate, so it will cut off the reverb tail at a certain point depending on how many milliseconds you want that to be. So this is a longer release, this is a shorter release. So this is really great for snares if you're wanting to make the gated reverb sound on your snares. So let's try that out. And let's just load up a preset here. Let's see, we have drums? Do we have a gated reverb on a snare preset in here? Snare, we've got some snares in here. So let's try a snare. Oh look, snare big 80s gated. Let's just hear how that sounds. Okay, this is obviously meant to be used on a send. So we'll just reduce the dry wet here. So then we have the shape here. So this is basically some EQ going on here. Tone, we can just make it brighter or darker. So it's basic EQ there, pretty simple, straightforward. Then we have smoothing here, which is also applying EQ, but it is targeting specific areas that tend to have more harshness or resonance, and you can kind of smooth things out and make it more subtle, or you can make it more sharp. So we can kind of hear what this sounds like. Then we have the transients here, so this lets you control which part of the dry signal the reverb is going to focus on reverberating. So either the sustain part of the sound or the attack part. So if we wanted to have it be a very attacky, all right, so we turn it down for attack and up for sustain. So that's pretty cool. You can make it a more lush, wet, kind of washy type of reverb, or you can make it a very plucky type of reverb depending on how you adjust the transients here. And so top to bottom, this is a very unique reverb plugin that gives you a lot of control over your reverb sound. So you can create a lot of different types of reverbs that have never been heard before, because it's not trying to emulate a real room. It's not trying to emulate another type of hardware reverb. It's not trying to create realistic reverb sounds. It's trying to let you you can do that with this plugin, but it gives you the ability to create all kinds of unique and new and interesting reverb sounds. So this makes this a really awesome plugin, and I say Baby Audio does it again. They continue to make really unique and different plugins that really help you take your music to the next level. So if you want to grab this, just click my link in the description below or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/crystalline and be sure to use my code OAA at checkout so you can get 10% off. If you want to check out my other Baby Audio plugin tutorials, and just check out my video up here. Otherwise, have an awesome day and keep creating.